There's been a little bit of sniffling and sneezing around this corner of the Channel 4 studios recently, and this morning is no exception because the pollen count is in the high category again, or the medium high category. It's about as high as it gets this time of year. It's grass pollen and ragweed pollen as well, making folks suffer. This is a little higher than it was yesterday, which is a little higher than it was on Monday. Not much relief either because there are very limited chances of rain in the whole 7-day forecast. Let's talk about the tropics and a couple systems out there that we need to be potentially concerned about. Gaston is the more organized system. In fact, it's likely to become a hurricane later on today, but it's way out there in the Atlantic Ocean. This thing is 2,000 miles away from us, and it's likely to just stay out over the open water of the Atlantic Ocean. This other one is just what we call a tropical wave. It's not even an organized system. It hasn't become a tropical depression, at which point it gets a number. Certainly hasn't become a tropical storm or a hurricane. Tropical storms when it gets a name, hurricanes when those winds reach 74 miles an hour. It's just a glob of clouds. National Hurricane Center estimates a 70% chance it's going to develop into at least a tropical depression, if not something stronger, over the next few days. The various forecast models on the spaghetti plot, which pretty obvious why we call it that, are pretty much in agreement over the next 2 to 3 days, tracking it to the north of the Caribbean and generally towards the Bahamas. It's after that point that things just kind of go to the zoo. Some of them keep it off the East Coast, some of them bring it into the Gulf of Mexico. One of the more reliable long-range forecast models is the European model. We'll wind this forward. Keep an eye on the teal lines here. This develops it into a hurricane over the Gulf of Mexico and then brings it up towards the Gulf Coast. Don't worry about the specific placement here. We're talking about a week from now. That is going to change one way or the other. The thing is, the two long-range forecast models, the European model and the American model, have virtually zero agreement about this system beyond the next 48 hours or so. The American model, the black lines, doesn't even have anything out there in terms of an organized tropical system by early next week. European model is generally more accurate, but it's far from perfect. So we'll keep an eye on this thing. It has our full attention, but right now it's just too soon to worry about any interest along the Gulf Coast or down in Florida. Around here this morning, got a little bit of cloud cover. We're not starting off with that fog we had yesterday morning, so visibilities are fine in Nashville. Looking pretty good in Franklin, just waiting on that updated image when skies are brightening here. We're about 20 minutes away from sunrise. A lot of fog in eastern Middle Tennessee, especially in Carthage, so give yourself a little bit of extra time to deal with that. We're not looking at any showers or thunderstorms on the forewarned live radar. We did have some of those in western Middle Tennessee yesterday afternoon. Could pop up a few in eastern Middle Tennessee this afternoon, but it's a pretty slight chance even there. And we're going to keep the storm chances in the isolated category, around 20% for today and tomorrow before we bump it up just a little bit Friday and Saturday. Right now, temperatures are in the mid to upper 60s in eastern Middle Tennessee, mostly low 70s along and west of I-65, but we're going to heat up. Partly cloudy skies. It'll be hot and humid already by noon with temperatures close to 90 and then into the low 90s for highs this afternoon. That isolated storm chance in eastern Middle Tennessee doesn't look like a huge cause for concern, but we're getting back into the type of weather pattern with that 20 to 30% chance where you want to at least stash the umbrella in the back seat just in case you need it and be ready to adjust any outdoor plans if you have to, but I wouldn't cancel anything. The hot weather is going to continue into early next week. If that system does make it into the Gulf of Mexico, we'll probably get some of the moisture from it, but that's a huge if at this point. It wouldn't happen until Thursday or Friday of next week, so it's a long way off.
All right, thank you. We're at 5.